Hey Chemsters, this is Mrs. Vanderlei bringing you an edition of Chemster Video. Anyway, we are starting section chapter 7.3, and this is the math involved in doing really a lot of the work for the rest of the unit. And we are going to be needing a calculator for this whole chapter, so have one handy. If you need to pause this and grab one, you should. Also have a periodic table. You're going to need one of those for this unit as well. So gather your materials and come right back. Alright, so it says now we know how to write formulas. We've been hounding you that since Thanksgiving. This section is going to be used about using those formulas to derive quantities. So we're going to be talking about things like the mole that you may have never heard about. It's not a furry little animal. And we need to know how to factor label. This is why we learned this back in chapter 2, back in September, on how to factor label. So tonight's homework is all about the review part. You have proven to me a couple times that you're still kind of weak in factor labeling. You didn't do all that great on that in the midterm, so we need to brush up on that right now. That's why we're doing this video tonight. So it says review factor labeling. Solve each of the following problems using the factor label method. Do it my way, please. Remember, you are reviewing the procedure. Your answer must include units and proper sig figs always. Now, this chart is given to you. For now, by the end of the unit, you won't need this chart. You will have, all the skills needed to solve for everything, okay? But for tonight's homework, for our discussion now, you can refer back to this and you get your equalities from here, okay? So hopefully you remember things about inches and pounds. We did that earlier. This is a new term. You don't know moles and atoms. That's brand new. You don't know moles and liters. That's okay. You don't know moles and grams. I'm teaching you procedure. You really don't have to understand what's going on. You just have to know the procedure and you'll do great. So if you recall what factor labeling is all about, we start off with question mark, what are you looking for? So read the problem, what are you trying to find? What did I give you? You're known, and please always include units. Don't leave your units out, you need them. And then times, and then whatever the units are here, you find the units down here to cancel out. What goes on top is what are you looking for. So hopefully if it's a direct correlation between one unit and another, then you just put what you're looking for on here, but in other cases you don't. So if you look, moles, 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 you can jump from one thing to another because moles would be, in a sense, that bridge to connect one quantity to another. So let's kind of review on how this works out. Okay, so let me kind of scroll down here. All right, so the question is how many inches are in 3.65 centimeters? So use this. What are you looking for? I'm looking for inches. What do you know? 3.65 centimeters. So let's write that down. Okay, this is how you start every problem. So now what? What unit is given? Centimeters. So what unit do you need to get rid of? You need to get rid of centimeters. So look up here and be scrolling up and down. Okay? Put centimeters on the bottom, inches on the top. I do know a direct relationship between centimeters and inches. So I can put centimeters on the bottom. So why? They cancel out. Put inches on top. Why? Because that's what I'm looking for. I want inches. I put inches there. So go ahead and calculate. Use your calculator and figure this out. So, oops, this is what I got. This is what my calculator gave me, but what's wrong? Two things. I don't have sig figs and I don't have units. So always look at your given. How many sig figs are right here? I see 3 of them. So I need to go 1, 2, 3. Here's my 3 sig figs. Look at my next digit to 7, so I'm going to round up. So I get 1.44, and there's my unit inches. So the inches here match up with the inches here. Okay? Why don't you try the next one? So pause this, work the whole problem out, and I mean it, you need the practice, and then I'll have the answers. Okay, let's see how you did. So here's my question mark pounds equals 234 grams. So I put grams on the bottom. Put pounds on the top. This is what my calculator gives me, but that's way too many sig figs. How many sig figs do you see right here? I see 4. So I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't round up, and so that is my answer. Okay, so let's go on and do something that we haven't seen before. You've never seen moles in chemistry yet. We haven't really talked about quantities of atoms yet, but we can come up with these quantities using factor label. So it says how many moles are there in 2.05 times 10 to the 22nd atoms. So immediately you know there's something different. We have an exponent in this problem. How do we use exponents in the calculator? Please do not use the 10 caret button. You're going to run into problems, especially if you're going to divide doing that. Get used to using the EE button. So look at your calculator right now, and you see it's probably a second yellow button, and then the EE is on the comma above the 7. So you would type that number in like 2.05, the yellow second, that EE, and then just 22. So make sure that you are doing this problem with me to get the exact same answer I do. Just don't watch me do it. You need to physically be punching this into your calculator also. Alright, so don't hit a times. When you do 2.05 times, don't hit the times button. It's going to be 2.05 EE 22. That's what it should look like on your screen. So let's go ahead and see how this problem is going to work. It's just like all these other problems that we've been doing. So question mark moles, that's what I'm looking for. Here's my given with my units. Now what has to go on the bottom? It's going to be atoms. So scroll up, okay, and here we go for all atoms right here. So we have 6.02 times 10 to the 22nd atoms equals 1 mole. Okay, so what number is going to go on the bottom, everyone? Hopefully you said it was. Well, what went with the atoms? 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. What is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for moles. Well, that's nice because that's my equivalent statement here. So 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms equals 1 mole. So how are you going to do this in your calculator? Are you ready? So you're going to punch in 2.05, that second EE button, 22, and hit your divided by. Why divided by? Because the 6.02 is in your denominator, so divide denominator. So divide by 6.02, second EE, 23. And you're going to get a really long number. How many sig figs do we need? 3. So you need to round to 3 sig figs and get 0.0341 moles. Okay, so make sure you get that number. If not, try it again. It's 2.05 second EE 22 divided by 6.02 EE 23. Notice I didn't say times in that whole process. So let's see how you do on the next one. How many atoms are in 120 moles? So again, hopefully you're getting this down where here's what you're looking for, equals, this is my given. This time, what's in my denominator? Last time it was atoms. Why? Because I was given atoms. Not this time. This time I start with moles, so what's in my denominator? The mole. What am I looking for? Atoms. So again, what's my relationship between moles and atoms? It's right here. 1 mole is 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. So that, oops, here I go. That needs to go right here. And now what? You are going to multiply 120 by 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. Now be very, very careful when you do that because your calculator is going to look at the very end. I wish I could screenshot what my calculator looks like, but I'm not that techie. But it's like 7.2 blah 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 blah, and look at the very far right of your display. You'll see there's your exponents. Do not forget those. You should see the 25 at the very end. So it's 7.2 times 10 to the 25th atoms. So you went 120 times 6.02 second EE 23. And this should be your answer. Then equals, of course, and this should be your answer. Okay? All right, let's go ahead to the next page. Okay, so how many moles, we're back to the moles again, are in 35 grams of iron? This is not atoms, this is grams. So let's see what the front page says again. So flip over. So where do I see grams and moles. Well, it's not here, not here, not here. Oh, look at this. 1 mole of iron is 55.85 grams. Notice it all depends on what I'm looking for. So I have to specify which element I am looking for. Notice that these numbers are all very different. Go ahead and look on the periodic table. Do you see where the 26.98 comes from? Do you see where the 55.85 comes from? Look at the periodic table and find aluminum, find iron, and you should see those numbers. So I'm doing iron, so this is the value I'm going to get. So what goes on the bottom? It's grams. So the 55.85 grams of iron goes on the bottom, and that's equivalent to 1 mole of iron. So now what? I'm going to take 35 divided by 55.85, and how many sig figs should I end up with? Well, how many sig figs are here? 2. So hopefully if you divide right and you give me 2 sig figs, there's your answer. So why don't you go ahead, pause this, and do number 6 totally on your own. You probably have to look back on the front again and figure this one out. So go ahead and pause this. Alright, so I put 1 mole of aluminum on the bottom. I put 26.98 grams of aluminum on the top, and then when I multiplied, that's the number I got. Now hold on, how many sig figs do you have here? I have 2. How many sig figs are here? 5. I need to round. Go 1, 2. So this is 100, this is the 20. Alright, so the 1 is not significant, so I have to round to the nearest tens, so I get 120 grams of aluminum. Okay, this next one is how many moles are in 11.2 liters. So I set up again. I'm kind of a little faster now, aren't I? Because I know the procedure. Okay, so here is my liters. What goes on the bottom? Well, liters, but you need to go back and look up here again to see what the relationship between moles and gas and liters are. It's right here. So 1 mole is 22.4 liters. So that's my equivalent statement. So going back here, I have 22.4 liters, and 1 mole goes on top. Remember, the liters cancels. I want moles. Moles are on top. So when I use my calculator, this is what I get. But wait a minute, how many sig figs are here? There's 3 sig figs here, so that needs to be 3 sig figs. I only got 1, so you have to add some more zeros to this. This next one is going to take a little bit more work, okay? And why is that? Because when I look over here, I want pounds and moles. And what's the problem? Go over here. There we go. Is there a direct relationship between pounds and moles? Do you see moles and pounds anywhere over here? I don't see moles and pounds anywhere. But what do I see pounds can go with? Grams. And do I know anything about moles and grams? The answer is yes over here. So I call this what's a two-stepper, okay, where I have to go to the mole and then from the moles to the next thing. So this is going to require 2 factors. So let's see how this is done. Okay, so how many pounds are in 2,000 moles? So again, this should become pretty easy. I'm going to kind of scooch it over here to the left because I think it's going to take a little bit longer or more space to get this whole thing out. So what unit must go on the bottom? Well, the answer is mole. And so now your question is, do you know a relationship between moles and pounds? So the answer is, well, no, there's nothing up there that has direct moles and pounds. But what unit did convert between pounds and moles? If you look, it is grams. Because we're dealing with aluminum, we know that 26.98 grams of aluminum are in 1 mole. But wait a minute. When I cancel out my moles, here, let's cancel out moles. All right, here we go. When I cancel out moles, all right, what unit is left? Grams. Is that the unit I want? No, it's not. I need pounds. So I have to keep going. So I need to have another one. Oops, this is why I call it a two-stepper, because I need another step here. So I have to get rid of grams, and I want pounds. So what's that relationship? We have 454 grams are in 1 pound. Okay, so I had to use the relationship between grams and pounds in this second step. It wouldn't make much sense to go from grams back to moles again. I just went around a big circle. So now what has happened, well, let me show you this again. Grams now cancels. I have pounds on top. All right, and I'm ready to calculate. So I'm ready to do this, and this is what I get. Now that's crazy. I'm not going to have that many sig figs. How many sig figs are in 2,000? Only one. So this is 1 sig fig. The rest of them are not significant. So this is 100. So that's my answer. Why don't you try the next one and see how you do? So pause this and try it. I really hope you did this and not just watch me do it, because I can make this look really easy. So I'm going to go from grams of iron to atoms. So it's really the same idea. So this time I use irons. I do know something about grams of iron. I have 55.85 grams of iron are in 1 mole. Why did I go to the mole? Why didn't I go to pounds? Because what is the relationship with atoms? It's not pounds. It's moles. I know a relation between moles and atoms. So I have to do this again, and this time my moles are on top. If you do this, you notice that grams canceled, leaving me moles on top. I don't want moles. I need to get rid of moles, so I need to put moles on the bottom, atoms on top. And when you do the math, don't forget, you're going to take 110 divided by 55.85, you get roughly 2, and now times 6.02 second EE 23. Remember, don't put the times in there. And this is what you should get. This is what 2 sig figs. Why 2? Because right here. Okay, why don't you try number 10 on your own? So pause this and see how you do. Okay, so this is how you start it. Now, what does grams relate to? This is of carbon dioxide. What's the only thing I can really, well, I can put grams to pounds, but will pounds get me liters? Of course not. So what's the only thing that will get me to liters is the mole. So I need to convert this to the mole. Here we go. But wait a minute, I don't want the mole. I want liters, so I have to do it again. Moles goes on the bottom. 22.4 goes on the top, and now I get this number. Well, how many sig figs do I need? That's 3, so I need to convert this to 3 sig figs. So the last thing I want you to consider is, all right, well, I did aluminum and I did iron. What about the rest of the stuff? Okay, how many grams of calcium are in 1 mole? Well, look on the periodic table. What does it say? Did you use the 20 or did you use the 40.08? If you remember, your 20 is the number of protons. That's not going to help me. I need the atomic mass, which is now going to be called the molar mass. We're going to learn a new our new term here is the molar mass. Now, what about water? Water is not on the periodic table. So how do I deal with water? And I wrote, hint, look closely at the grams of carbon dioxide. We use that up here. I got 44.01. Where did that come from? Well, what elements made up carbon dioxide? Carbon and 2 oxygens. So 12.01 plus 2 times 16 is 44.01. So what are you going to do with water? Well, take 2 times 1.01. Where'd that come from? The periodic table. Plus 16 is... actually, it should be 18.02. That's a typo on my part. Here, let me fix that. 18.02. There we go. Shoo. And that would be your mass for water. That's it. What I'd like you to do now is do the worksheet on your worksheet packet number 1. All right. After watching this, you should be able to keep this front page handy, and that will give you your conversions that you'll need to know for the worksheet. All right. Thank you. Oh, and don't wait to be great.